Canine officer Joker was shot during a search for theft suspects last month. Police tell us he was shot multiple times by the suspects and underwent multiple surgeries. Now that he's at home and safe, a local representative wants to prevent this from happening in the future.
He is currently undergoing surgery and he is in critical condition at this time.
Bradley County's police canine, Joker, was shot a few weeks back.
It's a good boy. It's a good boy.
But this past Tuesday, he was able to go home.
They're grateful to have him back home.
Executive assistant to the Bradley County Mayor, Adam Lewis, says the police department missed him.
Just because he is a canine, because he's a dog, an animal, doesn't make him any less a part of the team.
The same day Joker was released from the animal hospital, a local representative wanted to enact change.
Joker's Law.
Representative Mark Hall's proposed Joker's Law would increase the minimum sentencing for shooting a police canine.
As the law states now, it's based on the value of the animal.
The minimum sentencing is currently 1 year in prison.
I'm proposing a legislation that would make it an automatic Class C felony.
A Class C felony would make the minimum sentencing 3 years. Hall is confident it'll have the support.
I've spoke with several representatives earlier today, this morning. Most are in agreement with it.
It's unfortunate that it took this to really put light on what the law says.
Lewis is hopeful this will prevent future violence against canine officers.
We are hopeful and thankful that Representative Hall has stepped up to carry this bill.
Hall told me that in the coming weeks he plans on getting with legal to draft the bill, and he'll start working it early January.
Federal policy allows some student information to be released, but when we dug into this more, we learned on the local level, Hamilton County's policies seem to contradict each other. An email Ben Connor says was alarming. The school district told him and tens of thousands of other parents that their personal information like home addresses, phone numbers, and children's ages would soon be given out to a stranger.
The sixth sense just tingles of my parents' sense of knowing that information could just be requested and taken and done with whatever imaginable.
The school district said yesterday they didn't know how Brendan Jennings intended to use the information, but they considered his request an invasion of privacy. They told parents their attorney decided they had to fulfill it. We asked the Tennessee Coalition for Open Government's Deborah Fisher why.
FERPA is a federal law that protects student privacy. It does allow for student directory information, which would be name, address, that kind of thing, to be released. However, it also allows for parents to opt out.
In the student registration paperwork parents turn in at the start of every school year, parents can write to the district and have that information withheld. But it's only explained in one line out of 8 policies that parents sign.
The Hamilton County School Board needs to do a better job telling parents how they can opt out of that directory information.
Digging into the rules further, more confusion. We learned that the district tells parents directory information like this cannot be released for commercial use. But state policy doesn't require a requester to disclose their purpose. In this case, the requester didn't give his reason.
Now that we've exposed this, we need to make sure that the spirit of the law is the actual law and that we have the way to protect our children and keep their safety first.
Now, we're still working to clarify this discrepancy. One note, Deborah Fisher does say this kind of directory information does actually serve a purpose. The school's own policy says this kind of directory information can be used for school newsletters, school programs, and recognition lists.
The new position just went into effect this week with the goal of bridging the gap between community members and service providers. And the Lafayette Police Chief says it's already starting to make a difference.
I relapse again, and I don't want to go back to the streets.
A call on Monday that could have ended differently if not for the department's new positions.
We had a young man that was having a mental health issue and a substance abuse crisis kind of overlapping.
I need to get into a program. I need to detox.
Lafayette Police Chief Stacy Meeks says patrol officers don't always have the time to follow up on calls like this.
You're dealing with homelessness, substance abuse, and mental health crises. These are complex calls that require a more complex solution.
That's where Terry Robertson, the department's new crisis intervention specialist, comes in.
As a police officer, you're trained to react to situations, but as a crisis intervention specialist, you respond.
Trained in psychology and crisis counseling, Terry says people experiencing mental health crises often need support from the beginning to the end of the process.
I will identify the need, assess the need, address the need, and then follow up.
On Monday, he ended up getting the man evaluated by a hospital and transported to a mental health facility. Jad Johnson is the public defender for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit. He says these aren't just big city issues.
Small towns like Lafayette and other towns in our area have mental health crises as well.
He often defends people with mental health crises who might get charged by police.
If they don't have the help, if they don't have the resources, the medication, the counseling, it's just going to happen again.
Which is why he says more programs like this are needed to avoid vicious cycles of incarceration. Chief Meeks says the crisis intervention specialist is currently an on-call part-time position. City allocated $10,000 to start, but Meeks plans on seeking additional funding for a full-time position as more data supporting the need comes in.
In Fort Oglethorpe, the group Tennessee Neighbors for Liberty were out protesting vaccine and mask mandates. The group was set out in front of a CHI Memorial branch to support nurses who did not want to get the COVID-19 vaccine. By November 1st, CHI Memorial is requiring its employees to be fully vaccinated. This includes all physicians, advanced practice providers, volunteers, and others caring for patients. Tennessee Neighbors for Liberty group members Gary Ramey says that he's fighting for their freedoms.
Vaccine shouldn't be pushed on people to take. I feel like it's your freedoms. That's what we're out here today to do, is fight for our freedoms, because I feel like our freedoms being ripped away from us. It's not right.
Now, we reached out to CHI Memorial about this protest. They tell us in part, quote, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we have answered our calling to serve, providing care during challenging times. They say, quote, the primary purpose of requiring the COVID-19 vaccine is for the safety of our patients, visitors, employees, and volunteers. A man with a personal connection to the vaccine mandate was also out there protesting. Eric Reed with the Chattanooga Symphony says that he's currently on leave without pay because he hasn't gotten the COVID-19 vaccine. He says without work, he can't provide for his family.
I'm been relegated to a second-class citizen, not allowed to work in America or to provide a living for my family in America.
The CDC says that COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective at preventing COVID-19. They say infections happen in only a small proportion of people who are fully vaccinated, even with the Delta variant.